There are many beliefs about what exists, and some of them would say different things, different from what I just said, or will say. Do not assume that I am wrong and that they are right, or that they are wrong and I am right. Assume that there is truth to all of what we say. Assume that there are many layers of existence which cannot be explained in a few sentences. Assume that in some cases, to really understand things, you would have to study for a very long time. So the things I said are told from one perspective. The things other people say have been told from a different perspective. Imagine that reality is so huge that there is no way you could see it at a glance. And the best you could do is to focus on little parts of it from different angles using different perspectives. This is the reason that most people disagree in their beliefs. They don't realize that they are looking at different parts of reality and using different angles. Existence could be compared in some sense to a computer, and everything in the existence is like a huge self-modifying program. Everything is programmed to create life. For example, when two people get together and create a baby, we say that the step which actually makes the baby inside of a woman's body is natural, not man-made. And that means what? That it was programmed. Our bodies were programmed to create life. In this same way, the universe was programmed to do what it does. The new planets and stars are born because there is a process inside of the universe which makes that happen. This process always was. So therefore, everything that exists was always programmed to create life, and that's why life exists. There is more than one universe. So the universes are being born because they are programmed to be born. The question is, who programmed everything? Well, no one. It just always was. It's the same kind of an idea when someone says that God always existed. So the system which creates life always existed, and things were always programmed to be born. The system which creates life is like a self-modifying program. It evolves, changes, adapts, and grows. Each human is like a mini program. A human body follows a set of instructions to do the necessary things. Sometimes we say things without thinking about it first. Well, if we didn't have a chance to think about it, who said it? Who figured out what to say? Our program. The program inside of us runs and calculates things, analyzes things, and presents the best responses to the input. What is the difference between a plant and a spider? Most people would say that a spider is alive for sure, but a plant, it's a matter of definition. I think it's because the spider reacts to input and the plants don't seem to react. If we came up to a plant and it jumped onto our hand, we would probably assume that it was alive and conscious. So reactions, interactions with the environment is what gives the impression of consciousness, of being alive. But it's all programmed responses inside of a self-modifying program. Relative to a plant program, a human program is much more complex and therefore appears more conscious. But relative to a more complex program, a human program may appear unconscious. So the more sophisticated the program is, the more conscious it seems. Evolving is what makes your program become more complex and more sophisticated. When the program becomes more sophisticated, it starts to produce more controlled and more productive results. Advanced beings stop losing their temper because they learn to control unproductive emotions. The existence is like the ultimate computer, and all the entities which are alive are programs inside of it. So like we preserve data on a computer and can make copies of this data, and also can make copies of the programs on the computer, in some sense the same thing happens in the existence. Everything, all people's patterns, like souls, and memories are stored somewhere. Kind of like data is stored inside of a computer, and it can also be retrieved and copied and restored. Imagine you have a program on your computer where you record your financial data. Imagine that you bought a new computer. Do you lose all your data? No. You back up your data somewhere, then you install the same program on your new computer, and then you restore your old data to it. Sometimes the program looks the same, sometimes the program is upgraded and looks different, but the data is still the same. So in some similar way, a person's soul and memories could be backed up and stored somewhere, and at some other time could be restored in a new location somewhere. Imagine that you have a computer game that you like to play. It's an old game, but the new computers can't play it. So then what happens? Does the game die? Is this the end of you playing the game? Or is there something you could do to continue existence of this game and to continue playing it? Well, you could create a virtual computer inside of your new physical computer. This virtual computer would be the same kind of a computer that you had before the new physical computer. So the game could play in your virtual computer. So as far as the game is concerned, it was placed into a virtual reality, because that computer is not a physical one, but a virtual one. But can the game tell the difference between the physical computer and the virtual one? No. Is this a good way to continue the game's existence? Yes. So, in some sense, this is what is going to happen to some souls after death. They will be placed in a virtual reality, and they won't be able to tell the difference between a physical reality and a virtual reality. So what is the afterlife? It's just a way to extend our existence. There are different options. You can choose one at first, then later the other one, then something else. You don't have to be stuck in just one option. I already mentioned one option, existence in a virtual reality. Another option is to reincarnate. Reincarnation is a little different than people think. There are different ideas about it, but the reality is probably a little bit of each and none of them as a whole. But I talk about reincarnation in detail in the reincarnation video. Another option is to be settled on another planet in the universe. This planet is like a new Earth idea in the Bible. It's really cool. It's not harsh and primitive like Earth, for example. It's more like the paradise described in the Garden of Eden, where things are easy and are enjoyable. Another thing is, not all these cool planets are alike. They have different lifestyles, different systems, so a soul has a choice. For example, one planet may be really into living like farmers, like a Garden of Eden kind of lifestyle, for people who love to settle the new land, like pioneers did in our past. And another planet could be really into high-tech stuff, like we see in science fiction movies. So there are different games for different people's tastes. And in the same way, there are different planets for different people who like different things. Your soul will eventually evolve to be able to exist in some other way, but I don't have any details about that. But for beginners, those just starting to evolve, the options I listed are the available ones. What I just described was from one perspective. There could be a different perspective used, which will make the things sound a bit different, but I won't mention it because that will just create confusion. I think if you understand the reincarnation idea, you may be able to realize that other different perspective. I would also like to mention this. When a soul dies, it is given a choice as to which option to choose in the afterlife. Sometimes a planet may not be readily available for a soul to settle on. There could be no vacancies, for example, or it's still being built. So a soul may either choose the other options, or a soul may choose to just go to sleep, in a sense, and to wait until the planet is ready. Souls who sleep can be contacted by those on earth, and the souls also could contact those they want. There are limitations, and not everyone can do it either direction, as far as I know. But I don't know the details. Some souls go into a dream state and may experience a life in a dream, but as far as I know, it doesn't happen to all.